So today we're going to start with Sutra 1 and Sutra 2. We'll start with Sutra 1. We're going to chant. I will chant first. I would like everyone to repeat 2 times after that, okay? And then we'll go into the meaning. Atha yoganushasanam.
अथ योगानुशासनम् योगानुशासनम्
Atha yoganushasanam. So one of the beauties of Yoga Sutras is Patanjali Maharishi is very to the point, right? Does not like to waste time, does not like to waste space, no distraction with extra words, to the point. So Atha Yoganushasana. What does it mean? Let's break it down. Atha means therefore, hence. Yoganushasanam, the complete instructions of yoga. So his first sutra, first beginning says, hence, here are the complete instructions of yoga. When would you start a sentence with hence? When there is something before it, right? That part is not in the Yoga Sutras, right? So it's implying or indicating that to come into the study, all of us have to prepare. We have to prepare through Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, purifying our chitta, shuddhi, completely getting into a certain level of discipline and awareness before we come into the study. Last time, I know I mentioned, sometimes some expositions talk about, oh, this is a very advanced study. It's to imply that we cannot just get into this. And what I mean by we cannot just get into this is, if you truly want to take this knowledge and apply it into your life, you need to have some level of preparation. It's like muddy water. You can't see the bottom of the lake if the water is muddy. It has to be clean for you to see it. The goal is for us to see that inner core. Okay. So Atha is hence, and that is his implication. Take sadhana, whatever we are doing, yoga, japa, meditation, these are all preparatory steps before we explore this deep science of the Yoga Sutras. Okay. Second word is anushasana. Everyone knows shasan karna, ruling. Yeah. So shasan means a type of ruling or command. Okay. Anushasan is used to emphasize its completeness. So the way the sutras are written is based on Patanjali Maharishi's experience and everything he has learned. These are things rishis, when they give us knowledge, it is through experience, experiential wisdom. There's, mantra drashta, right? Like they're able to see those things. It's not interpretation or something they're imagining. They're seeing the truth and giving it to us. So it's very to the point. That's how the Yoga Sutras are written. Hence, Atha Yoganushasana. Okay, so this first sutra is saying hence. Now going forward, we are going to explore or the ruling around what yoga really is. That is the first sutra. We'll move to the second one. Yogash-citta-vṛtti-nirodhaḥ.
योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः
Wonderful. I ask everyone to chant twice because that's traditionally how shloka mantras and scriptures are learned in the Gurukul system. It helps your mind to retain a lot of these. Yogash-citta-vṛtti-nirodhaḥ. There are 4 parts to this. Okay, we're going to break down each of these parts and we're going to explore in detail what these are. So the 4 parts are yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha is broken down into these 4 parts. Okay. What is yoga? We will come back to it because that is such a deep topic and we are going to learn so much through the Yoga Sutras. So yoga, right now we'll take it as yoga, whatever we know, right? Chitta. Chitta is a very interesting word. To understand chitta, we need to understand some very fundamental concepts about our own existence, our bodies. Okay? We exist on 3 levels. Our gross body, right? Sthula Sharira, hands, legs, eyes, whatever you can touch, whatever you can see. constantly changing. Skin changes as you get old, hair changes as you get old, right? Sukshma, that is the subtle body. This is what is commonly called as antahkarana. Just as we are a human being with 4 limbs, inside there is a being with 4 limbs, antahkarana. Antahkarana is made of man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. These 4 things. And you might have come across, these in some of the previous teachings in Tattva as well. So this antahkarana is very important to understand what chitta is. So this is the subtle body. So we talked about the gross, we talked about the subtle, and then there's a causal body, karana sharira. Karana sharira is the one that carries all the karmic seeds for us. So all of us today, I know in satsang we talked about, rebirth and the number of lifetimes we take to even take a human birth and achieve, moksha and all of that. So I'm Shweta. I have my own karmic story that I need to play out on this earth, till I'm alive. When I die and I move to another body, I'll maybe call Vimala. I will have a new karmic story I need to play out. Okay, so that karana sharir, the causal body, carries a lot of the karma. The reason I'm emphasizing this is especially when we talk about healing techniques, modalities, or any other sadhana we do, it has to impact the causal body for there to be a material change. Really, really for you to see the kind of change in your life, in your own way you live your life, or for your own karmic theory or story, the causal body is very important for it to receive the right light for you to bring about those changes in your life. There are a lot of things we do that work on the subtle body, gross body, everything's great, but when we see souls really transform, that transformation happens at the causal level. Okay, something to keep in mind. So we've looked at the 3 types: gross, subtle, causal. Okay, now this chitta person or thing is sitting in the subtle, the antahkarana. Okay, man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. Man is our conscious mind. Okay, so basically the faculties that we use to respond to what is consciously in front of us. So I look at you all, I'm feeling so happy, I'm so grateful right now. This is what is coming into my mind. This is my feeling. My man is capturing all this. Chitta is a totality of an individual's conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. So conscious mind, what I'm saying, subconscious, something that's in the back of my mind that kind of pops up in and out, and unconscious, deep, deep-seated things that may or may not manifest. That totality is called chitta. And the way to look at chitta is, if you all know the Eno tablet that you put in water, fizz, it starts bubbling up. That is the role of chitta. It brings out certain things, vasanas, desires, anxiety, trauma. All of this is trapped in the different layers of chitta. So what happens is, chitta influences how the man works sometimes. As a conscious being, if I'm sitting here and I'm saying, oh, I'm so happy, I'm so nice to see everyone, and let's say somewhere in my past I've had some sort of a deception. Okay, I have problem trusting the person I'm talking to. Something in me is pulling back. There is a chitta, there are things that are maybe coming up that are influencing my man to act a certain way, right? Which may or may not be good, but that is how they work. Okay, so in the antakarna, the man and chitta work like that. Then there is the ahankar, which is your swabhav. Okay, that is who you are. When you go out in the world, that's how you project yourself. Your projection of yourself in the outside world is a reflection of your antahkarana, your 4 things. Okay, so when your man, chitta, buddhi is not functioning properly, then that is what you project. That is what you also see. Okay, buddhi here is very critical, because buddhi is a thought machine, analysis machine. Buddhi takes data from man. Wow, Shweta is feeling really happy right now in the satsang. Takes data from chitta and says, actually, she's got some anxiety around people. So what do we do now? There's fear, there's anxiety, but she's also happy. Through sadhana, the buddhi that gets the jnana, gets the light, and then informs the sankar, it's okay, Shweta. Things have happened in the past. Let's move on. Open up your heart, because you never know when you're going to make a beautiful connection. The buddhi has the ability to talk to you, to talk to your, ahankar, ego, and redirect it to perform certain actions. So that is how antahkarana works. Okay? That is why chitta, which is responsible for the sprouting up of things, creates these patterns of behaviors or of awareness. Okay? And that pattern that is sometimes compulsive, that we don't always want to do, but we end up doing because that's our nature, because we've had past experiences, that is called vritti. Vritti means patterns. Okay? So we saw yoga, we saw chitta, we talked about the three bodies. In the subtle body, there's antahkarana, in that there's chitta. And we saw now how chitta influences the man, hence the buddhi, ahankar, to do certain actions that are basically patterns of our awareness. So in our waking state, I compulsively always check my bag, let's say. I'm just giving you as an example, okay? That is my pattern. When I go to sleep, I can't do all that, right? I dream. I imagine myself checking my bag in my dream, right? So I'm still doing, but it's in my dream. So the awareness has moved to a different level. So all of these at the end of the day, waking state, dream state, these are all patterns of awareness. Okay? Think of them as patterns of awareness. So we have talked about yoga, chitta, vritti. Nirodhaḥ. Nirodhaḥ means to block. So what is Patanjali Maharishi saying here? Use yoga to block the citta-vṛttis, because it's causing you to act in a way that is obstructive for you to reach a higher truth. Essentially, that is what it is. Okay? This nirodhaḥ is not just at the superficial level. He's not saying, watch your desires, or watch your vasanas, or watch your emotions, or watch your thoughts. Yes, do all that. He's taking it a step further and saying, you need to get to a point where your cycle of rebirth is stopped, because every rebirth is a pattern of awareness that's manifested, right? He's almost taking it to that level. So what is that? Samādhi, moksha, that's it. There's nothing, right? There's nothing. He's saying, so his focus is trying to get us, that is the end goal, right? For all of us. So the key takeaway for us right now, as we looked at these 4 concepts, is using our sadhana, using our day-to-day interactions. Okay. So earlier we were talking about how we are all rushing for retirement. Okay. I'm going to challenge all of that and say, now, today, when you're going to work, when you're at home with your family members, when you're with your friends, when life is the most challenging for you, how do you use that to progress on this path? Okay, that is the key. Our Vedantic teachings, our scriptures, all of this actually is for grihasthas, because sannyasis don't need it. It's a medicine for a wound, right? They don't have wounds. They've left everything and they know what needs to be done. We are the ones with the wounds. It's applicable to us, right? So sadhana is very important. Chitta shuddhi, when we say, is that cleansing. It's very important. When you start to do japa, that's why last time homework was japa. Yeah. When you start to do japa, you will see the change, that automatically certain thoughts go away, because you've tried to get your mind tuned to a type of activity that takes you away from some of these distractions. Now, Patanjali Maharishi, what he talks about is, when we talk about nirodha and trying to, take away the patterns, for us, day to day, we are functioning at the mental level. Okay, so let us leave moksha for now. Good. We are all trying to go there. Thank you very much. Let's look at the states of mind. So he describes 5 states of mind. Okay. One he talks about is Muda. Muda, which means dullness. Tamas. Your tamas is very high. Okay, so we all know the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Okay, the most important thing for everyone to take away here on the 3 gunas is nothing is bad. Tamas is dark, yes, but it's not bad. Okay, it has its own purpose. The question is how we use it. Okay, so tamas, when it's high, you're dull, you're lazy, negative thoughts creep in. It's not conducive for a yogic lifestyle, for a sadhak. Okay, that's a muda. Then there is a state of mind he describes kshipta. Okay, kshipta is when rajas is high. You're on the go, you're restless, you want to do something. You know, it's there's wonderful examples of a top. When you spin a top, when you see it and it's not moving an inch, that's sattva. When it's going here and there, that's rajas. When it falls down completely, that's tamas. Same examples were given. I remember one of my teachers said with kids, when you ask a child to go get a glass of water, if he goes, gets a glass of water, done. There are some kids who are like, jump on the couch, go knock 5 things down, then get the glass of water, spill on the way. No? Rajas, high, right? So when Kshipta is when your mind is scattered. Rajas is high, mind is scattered. Okay? Vikshipta, that is when your mind is oscillating. Vikshipta is a beautiful state for a sadhak. Because this is a state where people who are like us who are doing sadhana will find moments where we are very focused and then something happens and you get distracted. And then you're back. You're using your sadhana to come back. So Vikshipta is actually where Patanjali Maharishi says yoga starts in Vikshipta. Muda and Shipta are not that great states for a yogic lifestyle. Yoga starts in Vikshipta when a sadhak is oscillating between sattva and rajas. Sattva and rajas. Okay? And then he comes to what is called ekagrata. Ekagrata is one pointed focus. All of you must have experienced at some point in your life where you didn't hear the car, you didn't hear the clock, you were focused 100% in what you were doing. You were in a creative flow. That is sattva. That is the full manifestation of sattva, ekagrata. Okay? And finally, the last state, what he says is nirodha. That's what he's coming to. Nirodha, he's saying, is when these 3 gunas are not there. Gunatit. Till then, we are all trigunatmak. So the beauty about gunas is even the highest enlightened person is trigunatmak. All your saints, all your rishis are trigunatmak. Nobody is gunatit, because the minute you're gunatit, you've merged. You're done. If you have a body, you're here. If you're a manifested entity, you are trigunatmak. So the key here to answer your question, Meenaji, and hence homework for all of us is analyze yourself until the next spandan every day. Activities where your sattva, rajas, and tamas are predominant. Okay? Very rarely will you have equal effects of all gunas. You will always have one guna that is kind of sticking out. Okay? So the first part of the homework is analyze, identify, keep a record. So you can either do it for during the day or take some part of your day. Try to pick the same part so you can see the patterns. So let's say 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., 8 a.m., sattva is high. You're able to do all your work. You're able to think clearly. Beautiful. 8 to 7 or 8 to 4, 5, rajas. Yeah, meeting. You know, all of that. And then 4 to 7, 8 is actually sattva, according to the thing. It's sattva because a lot of people do evening sadhana. You're slowly starting to come back to a more calmer state of mind. And beyond 8 is tamas. Okay, that's the cycle. But what I would like all of us to do, including myself, is watch yourself throughout the day. Okay, however you want to record yourself is completely up to you. You can do it every hour, you can do it for a block of few hours, whatever it works for you. I'll leave it with you. But watch yourself, analyze yourself. And if you can't do it for a whole month, take a week, because you have to see data, right? Like we're almost like scientists, we're working on ourselves, right? We have to look at the data to see. So that is number one. Second part, if you've gone after 2 weeks or so, your second part of homework is anytime you hit tamas, identify a way to get yourself out of it. So the rule is tamas needs to be eliminated, rajas needs to be redirected, sattva needs to be strengthened. Okay, so when you're tamas, find ways in your own lifestyle. Maybe you're lazy. Okay, I think I should just go for a walk. Weather's getting better. I need fresh air. Get up and go for a walk. Okay. Rajas, you're feeling distracted. Maybe I need to listen to music. Maybe I need to sit down and meditate for 2 minutes and then I'll be calm. Find ways for your own self as to where you can redirect rajas to a more calmer, more centered feeling for yourself, which only you will know, right? The sutras can tell us a lot of things, but this is all our own experience, right? And sattva, where you feel your highest. Last time when we started the Yoga Sutras, I remember we opened with, are we living to our highest potential? Because that is the goal for all of us who live in the world today. Whether you're working, whether you're retired, whether you're a student, are you living your highest potential? That is our goal. More than any, that is your first goal. Then you know God, then you realize God, then you can merge with him or her. That comes later. We start with the very basics, because till you do not have a grasp of fully understanding yourself and being able to live your highest, everything else is a very difficult goal to achieve. So we want to make the study very practical for us. So when you're in sattva, when you're in the flow, when you feel your best, record that. Find out how you can strengthen that and bring it into these other times where you feel rajas and tamas. So before we go to Q&A, we spoke about a lot of things. I'm going to summarize. I'm going to be providing notes on these, but I know all of you all have also taken notes. Yoga citta-vṛtti-nirodhaḥ, the 3 states of your body are very important for us to understand what changes and what doesn't. It informs our viveka, our discrimination. That way you know you don't have to be obsessed with something that changes, which is our gross. You need to pay attention to the eternal truth that doesn't change, which is our Atman, right? So those states help us understand that. They manifest in our waking, dream, and deep sleep state. The gunas, we're all trigunatmak. Tamas has its own use. What is the use of tamas? Destruction. Destroy that laziness or whatever you want to get out of yourself, right? Use that in a way to use tamas for rest. If you're rajasic and you're too hyper, use tamas for rest. Right? Try to rest it out. So take out the bias against the gunas, embrace them, because that is how we all function. Yeah. And self-analysis, the homework that we're going to do, all of us, keep a record. And during the before the next Pandit, I'll see if I can share some updates on what I'm doing. That way, you know, you can course correct. But those are the 2 sutras for today. When you do japa and you're feeling great, and then you stop doing japa and you go into the outside world and you're not feeling great, that takes time. Experience of taking what you do during the time of sadhana and applying it for the rest of your life takes time. Okay. The first step is to just become aware. It's okay. It's okay. The fact that you're aware is a big step. A lot of people are not.
कभी कभी करते समय भी ना डिस्ट्रैक्शंस हो
हाँ.
कि हाँ कि कभी तो बड़े मन से हो जाएगा आराम से कि भाई
हाँ.
हाँ जपा चल रहा है कि हाँ
हाँ.
वी आर लाइक इट
Yes.
और सम टाइम बहुत डिस्ट्रैक्शन होगा कि
हाँ.
दिमाग में कभी कोई थॉट आ रहा है कभी कोई
वही विक्षिप्त स्टेज ना
हाँ, विक्षिप्त
आता
state.
जाता रहता है
Exactly.
जपा करते समय भी
करते रहना जब करते रहना है और नॉट नेसेसरी एक ही पोजीशन में आप बैठ के
हाँ.
खाना बताते समय लॉन्ड्री करते समय कभी भी कर सकते हैं आपका मन तो चल ही सकता है ना
हाँ, वही तो इसलिए हमने the homework is that when you're doing japa, after that if you're feeling certain way, identify it, write it down or make a voice note, whatever. Okay, after japa, after a few hours, I get restless. So maybe you do one more round of japa. Whatever works for you, right? But that is the study that you have to do for yourself. So that is very normal. Reena ji, what you're describing is the most normal thing all of us go through. But the key is not to stop, because the effect of this japa that I'm speaking about is not a 1 or 2 week thing. It's years. And for some people, even after years, you don't see it. That's not in your control.
Never
Sadhana,
give up.
sadhana has to be the best sadhana, okay? Has to be nishkam, which is you're doing it for the sake of doing it. The results come, they'll come.
Last time she used a
So-
very nice word. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't put your brain into it.
Yeah. Take your intellect for a bit, keep it outside. Forget how you feel, okay? Raga, dvesha, don't bring all that. Your job is to do japa. Your job is not to control how you feel. That'll happen. We have to put faith. That is Shraddha, right? We talk about. This is a power that is responsible for our creation. It's very powerful. So we need to have that Shraddha when we do our sadhana. So don't stop. It's difficult, but embrace it. Don't stop. Keep going.
Any more questions?
When you are doing japa, you are completely focused on that. The moment you finish japa and come back to the reality, still I think people like me or other, I think we are still not reached to that stage where you really understand the purpose of your life. You come back and then you say, okay, I have to do this work for my,
Yeah.
I cannot retire, I cannot do this one, I cannot do. So I think in this whole process, the most important part is, and that reminds always Sri Ram's word to me.
Yes.
From last one. What is your purpose? What is your like actually looking at? Do you want to kill your time? Do you have enough resources to survive? So that until you realize to that level, you'll keep actually just moving from there. Like that's what I feel.
A lot of times we see our life outside sadhana as non-spiritual. There is no such thing. This is the only life. Whether I'm here in a class or I have to take a meeting or my kids are yelling at me, it's all sadhana. Every role that we are in is sadhana. When you're in the kitchen cooking, that is seva. That is sadhana. When you have to take care of work, that is sadhana, right? And there's one example I came across. Somebody went to a monk and he said, Swamiji, I can't do Sandhya Vandan in the evenings. There's no mood. I don't have the mood. So the Swamiji said, okay, do one thing. Take 1 hour in the evening and waste it. Waste it. Okay? Which means don't do anything for yourself. You cannot watch TV, you cannot do the dishes, you cannot take care of it. Don't do anything. Sit and waste the 1 hour. So sit and do nothing. So then automatically you have now created 1 hour in your day that is open for God, I will say. Okay? So they say, ideally you spend the 1 hour in Samādhi. You can't spend Samādhi? Okay. Do dhyan. Can't do dhyan? Do japa 1 hour. Can't do japa? Fine. Do puja for that 1 hour. Can't do that also? Sit quietly and do nothing. Just do nothing for 1 hour, because the point he was trying to make, because automatically you'll say, okay, so if I can't do anything for myself, then might as well do this, read a scripture, do something. But the point is, all of this study that we're all doing here, things we hear on audio, everything, it's going into our karana, chitta, antakarana, karana. It's influencing japa, sadhana and all influences your causal body. That's why it is so powerful. It essentially what it does is it comes into your, if the room is your causal body, sadhana comes and rearranges things, puts everything in the right place. There are some things that are very heavy to lift. That drid karma you have to go through, but sadhana helps you go through it. But there are minor things that get dissolved, right? So that is the beauty of doing sadhana. I'm saying japa, there's meditation, there's so many things, right? Meditation, japa are one of the most powerful techniques for all of us. So when we make the time, the reason because it's going in and affecting these, you never know when you realize the truth. So you're keeping that 1 hour, hoping that someday that 1 hour is going to reveal the truth to you. That's how it has happened for a lot of people I have personally known, people have read about. Rishi, it's not something that is a grand event. It just happens one day, right? We don't know, but we have to allow for that opportunity. So yes, life is very demanding, especially I think when we live here. It's not like, India, and I think every immigrant goes through this back and forth. So you all are way ahead of me in that journey, but that's what we signed up for, and here we are.
Tamas in this concept, and when we talk about tamas in our Tattva book, where we are talking about Brahm and Maya and the tamas
Same.
property.
Same है,
So it's the same thing, inertia, which is
inertia.
Because without tamas, there's also no rest. We all need to sleep, right? That is tamas. The 3 gunas are almost like a DNA to everything we see, everything. That actually the creation starts with the
Tamas.
3 gunas,
Yeah.
and then it manifests into all the rest of the Panchamahabhuta, all that stuff.
She was not associated with Tamas.
No, you're confusing between the Vidvansh karta, Sanghar karta. Sanghar matlab destruction, destroyer.
Oh, right.
उससे confuse हो रहे हैं.
Yeah, all of the deities are a manifestation of a certain energy that they represent, right? So Shiva, Shakti, when we look at a picture of Shiva, like that's what we created as humans. It's a manifestation of certain energy. So the Rudra, or like the one that's destroying, or even Kali, yeah, she's there for destruction, destroying the evil, right? It is a tamasic energy that is very high, but you need that for certain activities. So I think there are forms of deities that get associated to different things. And we go like just in general, I think people go through different sects and different deities and different worship. But the key is whatever you choose. Maybe you have Ishta Devata or you have a deity. If not, Vedanta basically brings it all back to one.
The rajas and redirecting that
Yeah.
towards sattva.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know, maybe you will cover that in the next class or.
Yes, gunas, we are going to do very detailed study as part of the Yoga Sutras. The next few verses go more into detail. So we will talk about it then. But was there a specific question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes I do feel I am scattered.
Yes.
Like there are multiple things to do,
Yeah,
but I know, I recognize that there is a lot of that going on.
yeah,
But how do you actually channel that energy and
yeah.
bring it towards sattva? So
When we become aware, a part of the exercise of becoming aware, when we throw the light of awareness on these things, automatically certain solutions come forward to us. So, as an example, when I was feeling that way about certain tasks at work or at home, it was helpful for me to understand what actually is contributing to my progress. So, for example, at work, I was doing 10 things. When I was looking at the 10 things, really, I realized my boss probably only cares about the first 3. Nobody cares about the rest. I'm just doing them because I started doing it and somewhere I lost why I was doing it. So I just had to go through a simple exercise of reprioritizing what I was doing and setting expectations of where I was spending time. Just as an example, that became apparent to me because I was able to develop the practice of becoming aware. A lot of times we are not able to uncover simple solutions because we're not paying attention. In your own study, as you look at kind of rajas, when you feel scattered or distracted, I think it's really important to understand what am I doing and when I'm doing it. So when you record, maybe you're doing it at a time when you're really tired and you can't focus. So don't beat yourself about it. Maybe do it 3 hours before when you can focus, right? So you'll automatically shift things. You'll say, wow, I'm not able to focus on japa. Every evening I sit down, I can't focus. Maybe you record and you realize, oh my God, 5 to 6 a.m. is when my focus is there. That's when I'm going to do japa. So you move your day around and you come up with those solutions. Those are things you would be able to do when you're aware. So rajas, the scattering happens. Rajas, when combined with sattva, is beautiful. It's a creative energy, right? So how do you, when you rechannel, to talk about rechannel, maybe you pick one thing and you put your focus into that and you see it through. So there are some examples, things you can do. A lot of this is largely dependent on your own personal experience, but we will cover it in detail. But I think for this exercise, even if you're not able to solve for it, just you noting down things, after a couple of weeks, guaranteeing you will see something, a pattern. You'll see that is the key. Here is not to solve, is to watch the pattern. That itself is the biggest step. Japa is easy, it's an accessible thing for a lot of people. You tell someone to meditate, it's very difficult, to be honest. Meditation is not easy. What the meditation we do, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we're not talking about that. True meditation is not easy for beginners or people who are trying to, especially when you're distracted. I absolutely rely on japa. Japa is my favorite thing to do. It automatically brings me in. And it helps me create a relationship with, a deity, or helps me bring myself into a space that I can use to then meditate, where we're using our energy. But that is a good test. Prana is actually divided into two things. It's got two components. There's prana and there's rai. Rai, the word rai is energy that is dissipated. Everything, our majority of our life is actually rai. Going to work, taking care of our life activities, dealing with relations, they're actually all rai. They are rai. They expend prana. The prana that I'm talking about, the one nourishing for the spiritual growth, is when we do sadhana. So the idea is how you do more of prana or bring more of that into these rai activities is where we will see the most growth. So that is the purpose of when we watch and see rai. Especially we talked about so many births. There are people who come and go on this planet who only do rai. If you have never done sadhana in your life, you've never even had the quest for something deeper, start to finish, your life is right. That is what the truth is. We are all fortunate enough to know the difference.
When you do japa, even at that time, our mind can be distracted and have so many thoughts going on at the back of the mind. So, what is the ideal way where we can focus on? Because when we are doing japa, we are like more aware of any deity, any guru, right? But still, you are not able to focus, as in meditation, that people cannot focus. Same can happen with the japa. So, how to do it?
Don't try to remove the distraction. Try to bring your focus back to the japa. So these are two different things. There's the process of elimination and there's the process of focusing and strengthening, right? Shmita, if I tell you don't think about the elephant, you're going to be thinking about the elephant, right? That's
Right,
how our
right.
mind works. So it's better to say, think about the flower. That way you'll think about the flower. You're not the elephant might come and go, but you're going to come back to the flower. So the best way to do it is accept that you're going to be distracted. We are at that stage where we are vikshepta, right? Like vikshepa, we are going to be distracted. That is an absolutely natural state for all of us sadhaks. Accept that. No need to remove that at all. Just keep coming back to the japa. So Om Namah Shivaya, if you're doing Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, paneer butter masala. Okay. Om Namah Shivaya, come back, coming back. Laundry. Something in your mind is always going to go. So keep coming back. Come back to that bead. You're doing japa on that bead, no? That one bead. Chant, go to the next bead. Chant, go to the next. So every time, all that you're focused on is chanting the Om Namah Shivaya and moving to the next beat. If that is your only focus, automatically over time, the distractions do reduce. It absolutely does. So what the question you asked is very valid, and it's a very natural experience for anyone who's doing sadhana. So it's okay, absolutely okay that your mind wanders. Just come back. Don't give yourself a hard time about it.
Japas can be done in many different languages,
Yeah.
but if you do not understand the language and the meaning of that japa, it's very difficult to connect with it.
Pick any mantra that you like. That has always been my go-to. Any mantra. All mantras lead to one thing, which is for you to go beyond yourself. So the way mantra japa works, when you focus on your japa, It's a way to take the focus away from your ego. That is the point. What mantra it is different. Any mantra that you connect with will have the same effect as the best mantra in the world, honestly. It is a mantra you connect with. So if it's a language that you are able to understand, and there is a mantra in that, Tamil, Telugu, whatever it is, not Sanskrit, use that. Use that, whatever you resonate with, because it works on personal experience. I cannot take a mantra because Gayatri mantra because everybody's chanting. I have to believe in it. I have to build a relationship with that deity. Actually, mantra japa, a lot of it is with the deity, right? You're trying to connect to a deity. You have to, it's like going on a date. You have to connect with the person. You can't just go on a random date because your friend said so and so is good. It's because you're trying to build a relationship with this deity to help you through this journey of life. And slowly, slowly, as you do one mala every day, then you say, okay, I'll do 2 malas. Then you do 5 malas. Then 11 becomes very easy. Then you take on anushtans. Then you take a purush. Like that, the floodgates open. It really opens. So it's anything that you find comfortable with.
What is an anushtana?
Anush-
Undertaking.
You take.
Undertaking, but generally they
You can
don't
take,
mean-
there are technically, an Anushthan is calculated a certain way
Okay.
based on the
Number.
mantras, the bijas, it's calculated. So it's a way to say, okay, when you do so many Anushtans, you transcend a certain part of, yourself, you grow spiritually to a certain point. But a lot of people will do, for example, 40 days, 21 days. Like I do, for example, Navratris,
Mhm.
Ganesh Chaturthi, those are 10, 11 days.
48 days, one mandala.
Yeah. 48 days, yeah.
Yeah,
So
48
there are
days.
things you can do. So you can take up an Anushthan as like, you take up a resolve and say, okay, every day I'm going to chant this. Some people say every week I'm going to chant 10. So sometimes, because schedules are crazy, right? Because all of this, the main thing here is when you take up a sadhana that does not work for our day-to-day lives, it is a failure. Okay, especially when you're working, when you have a young family to raise, setting your goal as waking up at 4 a.m. when your child doesn't sleep till 1 is setting yourself up for failure. Okay, have realistic goals. So if the Anushthan, a lot of people I know, they say, I will do 12 malas in this week. Monday through Thursday, I'm not able to chant. I take Friday, the day off, and I do my 12 malas. I've kept up my Anushthan. So the point is creating it for what works for you. Because even if you do 1 mala, but you do it with focus, the progress you will see in that, and then doing 10 malas mindlessly, talking to somebody, watching TV, doing something else is far higher. Because that, sometimes we end up doing that. But I always recommend, if you don't have time, just do 1 mala properly though. Just sit and give the time.